He sat behind the long, heavy table, his small body almost swallowed by its size. His eyes were glassy, stained with tears that had fallen on his freckled face. I walked over and sat down, gazing at the dark-haired boy as his mother, with similar hair and features, held his small hand. "Derek, can you tell me the last time you saw your friend Jimmy?" I inquired softly. "I saw him at the edge of the woods," Derek stuttered, his hands clenching his mother's tightly. "He was looking in there and said he heard something." "Did you see anyone, like anybody strange?" He shook his head. "I didn't see anyone, officer." "What about before that?" I asked, my mind flashing through a slideshow of little Jimmy's body, found in a shallow creek bed, the side of his head stained with a mixture of dried mud and blood. Each image paused in my mind before the next one appeared. "No, I didn't see anything," Derek said softly. His mom looked at me with concern. No parent wants to see their child questioned, no matter how gently, by a detective in a police station. "I promise, it won't be much longer," I said, trying to reassure her worried expression. I paused, carefully choosing my next question so as not to overwhelm the 10-year-old boy. "Did Derek say anything before he went into the woods?" "He said he heard a boy laughing in the woods," Derek sobbed, more tears welling up in his eyes. I handed him a tissue and he wiped away the tears from his soft cheek. "He said it sounded like the boy was having lots of fun, and we tried to tell him not to go in there because we needed to go home." "Did he say he saw the boy?" "No one ever sees it when Kyle laughs in the woods," Derek squeaked, his eyes wide with fear. "No one ever can ever see Kyle until it's too late." "All right, Derek, go home. Just know that we're on the case and we'll find out who hurt your friend," I replied, standing up and looking over at his mother, whom Derek was now gripping tightly. "Danny Patterson has put that scary story in his head," the mother seethed. "He came up to us at the grocery store and kept saying how Kyle loves to laugh in the woods." "Danny Patterson, you say?" I inquired, my curiosity piqued. "Yeah, he's your friend. Tell him to leave us alone, Jake," she said. "Me and Danny Patterson haven't really been close since junior high," I remarked, slightly annoyed. Even to this day, in this small town, and as a police officer, I was still associated with Danny Patterson, a drunkard who I only ever interacted with in the drunk tank or on the street. But I'll talk to him. "They should really just put a fence up around that creek," Sam said dismissively. If I hadn't been in the car and listening over the speakers, I would have shot him an annoyed look. "It's a steep fall and all the rocks below it make it even more hazardous." "I'm just as aware of that as you are, Sam," I huffed, passing the small gas station where we used to get soda and candy bars when we were wandering the small town looking for adventures. "This is the third time in 10 years a body has been found in that creek." "Yeah, because kids fall in it, and the town should do something about it." The kid said that his friend heard a boy laughing in the woods before he disappeared. "Oh God, not the Kyle loves to laugh in the woods bullshit again," Sam grumbled as I continued to drive past Dirkler Road's Church of Christ. "They've been saying that since we were kids." "It started when we were kids, Sam." "Yeah, it did, but that doesn't mean we have to obsess about a town's legend," Sam retorted. "Do you think some ghost kid bashed another kid's head in?" "Of course not. I want to know if someone else did. Or if he fell into the creek bed like the others." As I was formulating a way to convey my annoyance, I saw something small with dark hair running across the road. My car was about to collide with it. I could see a boyish smile on the figure's face. "Shit!" I yelled, stomping on the brakes. The screech of rubber and pavement echoed through the car as I turned the wheel right. My car slid onto the shoulder and into the grass. "Jake, are you there?" Sam shouted as my heart raced. I quickly put the car in park and looked around, but there was no sign of the little boy. "Jake, do I need to call the police?" "I am the police, Sam." "Are you okay?" "Yeah, I am. I almost hit a kid." "Where are you at?" "I'm at the park close to the Dirkler Road Church." "Wait, you're going to the crime scene?" "I am," I replied, as I saw the ghosts of my childhood past. The sway of swings in the fall wind, the crack of branches scraping against each other in the canopy of the woods, and the sight of playground equipment. The once red slide was almost white from being sun-bleached over the last 20 years. The monkey bars were rickety and dangerous. Hardly anyone ever came to this playground. "I'll call you back. I'm going to check on the kid." "All right, call me back when you wrap up." "Sure," I said, hanging up the phone and opening the car door. The wind roared briefly as I looked around trying to find the kid, but there was no sign of him. I began walking towards the playground where I could see the tree line that led to the woods where Jimmy had gone before disappearing and later being found dead in the creek bed. "Hey, anyone out there?" I yelled out. "I just want to make sure you are okay." I heard the snap of a few sticks as if someone was running through the woods. I picked up the pace, awaiting a reply, but none came. When I said, "I'm with the police," the sound of small footsteps running continued from the woods. I stopped at the edge of the woods. More ghosts of the past came to mind, another slideshow playing in my head. Sam, Danny, and I running around these woods, on a sugar high from candy bars and soda. "Kid, I'm not going to hurt you. I just want to make sure you're all right," I said, taking a deep breath before stepping into the woods. Another footstep crunched through the leaves, coming from what sounded like the left. I turned to see what looked like small fingers curled around a tree, as if someone was hiding. "Come on out now," I shouted, walking towards the tree. I slowed down as I observed the fingers. They were discolored, almost a rotten green, and looked far too wrinkled to belong to a child. "Hey, I need you to come out from there," I said, feeling uneasy. I unclipped my holster and placed my hand on my gun, but something stopped me. The sound of laughter, like a child trying to imitate a demonic cackle, filled the air. "Come out now!" I shouted. My command was greeted by more chortling and giggling. "Just because you're a kid doesn't mean I can't detain you, you know," I insisted, standing about 10 feet away from the tree. The fingers curled further, almost as if trying to dig into the trunk. The sound of heavier footsteps rustling through the leaves came from behind me. I pulled out my gun, gripping it tightly with both hands, and whipped around. A haggard man with a beer belly protruding from his deep red flannel shirt, his jeans stained with dirt and dead leaves. His dark beard and hair showed signs of aging, streaked with gray, and his heavy-lidded eyes met mine with surprise. "Jake, what are you doing here?" "No, the question is, what are you doing here, Danny?" I huffed angrily. "You know a crime happened here, right?" "Yeah, I know that. I'm here to get answers." "And how the hell are you going to do that?" I asked, turning toward the tree. The fingers were gone, replaced only by silence. No more laughter. "I'm handling the case." "Just because you're a cop now doesn't make you superior or a better person," Danny mocked as I walked to the tree and peered behind it. Nothing remained, not even an imprint in the soil or the dead leaves on the ground. "No, but it makes me wonder what you're doing here." "I told you what I'm doing here. Walking around the park after harassing a little boy who just lost his friend." "I didn't harass anyone, Jake," Danny grumbled as he approached, and I holstered my gun. "He knows what happened to him." "And what is that, Danny?" "You know Kyle loves to laugh in the woods." "I'm done here," I snapped, scanning the ground for footprints. Danny shuffled quickly behind me. "You know someone could think you're the suspect walking around here." "Are you going to arrest me, Jake? For interfering in a police investigation?" "Come on, you and I both know that it's very real," Danny insisted, trying to keep up the pace. "You can pretend all you want, but you know, I know, and Sam, wherever he is, knows." "No, only you think an angry boy ghost is killing kids," I shouted, turning to face Danny. His breath and clothing reeked of cheap whiskey and cigarettes. "Sam thinks it's ridiculous too." "Then why are you here?" "Because I want to know what happened to that poor fucking boy." The sound of laughter echoed through the woods as I paused, trying to pinpoint its source. I looked at Danny, who seemed frozen, his eyes wide and his mouth agape. "You can't tell me you aren't hearing it," Danny prodded. "Yeah, I saw a kid run across the street as I was driving here. It was him, Jake." "No, it was some kid with black hair. He was very real." The laughter grew louder as I glanced past Danny's shoulder to see a small figure standing about 15 feet behind him. I pointed at Danny, urging him to turn around. The small boy had discolored skin, a sickly green like his fingers, and a strangely shaped head as if part of it had caved in. "Jake, it's him, you can't deny what you're seeing." "Stay right there, kid," I ordered, placing my hand on my gun. Danny quickly ducked behind me as the two of us stared at the ghoulish boy. He bared a rotten-toothed grin and began to laugh uncontrollably. "Stop laughing." He continued to laugh, mocking us, the sound echoing through the woods almost painfully loud. As I moved closer, Danny grabbed my arm trying to stop me, but the creature kept laughing, giggling and chuckling demonically. "Jake, you remember when we visited here when we were kids, right?" "Shut the fuck up, Danny." "You remember the game we used to play?" Danny persisted, gripping my arm to lower my gun. "Me, you and Sam, we played it about 5 times. "Danny, let go of me," I snarled, breaking free from his grasp. The boy cackled once more before turning and walking away. "No, stop right there." He continued walking deeper into the woods. Frustrated, I shoved Danny away, watching him tumble to the ground. "You remember the last time we played the game? It was my turn, Jake." As I turned, the boy had vanished completely. "I'm going after him. You can sit here and relive our childhood if you want," I replied coldly, as Danny stood up and brushed himself off. "We aren't talking about that stupid game." We ventured deeper into the woods in silence. I searched for any clue, any sign of where he'd gone. "We never got a bunch of new kids in our school." Danny finally broke the quiet. "Not a lot of people want to move to a small town, I guess," I replied, trying to maintain a normal conversation, as if I hadn't just seen a grotesque child. "There's a reason you're here, Jake." "Yeah, because I'm a goddamn detective." "No, it's something more," Danny replied, as I heard the sound of water in the distance. We were nearing the creek bed where Jimmy's body had been found. "You do remember the game, I know you do." "I don't want to talk about this, Danny." The sound of rushing water grew louder. Then, that chilling laughter echoed through the woods. "It was my turn that day, remember?" "I swear to fucking God." "The game we used to play with the new kids," Danny continued. "We would come here and tell them a spooky story that we made up." We reached the edge of the creek bed, and as I peered down, I saw the boy staring up at the two of us. "What do you want me to say, Danny?" I asked, locking eyes with the ghoulish boy. "I don't think there's anything you can say to make it better, but just admit what happened that day," Danny replied, also staring at him from the creek bed. "One of us would disappear into the woods and laugh like crazy to freak the new kid out." "Yeah," I said dully. "But I never suspected one of them would run into the woods to try to find what was making the laughter." "But he did," Danny said. "So I remember I went behind him and laughed the most evil laugh that an 11-year-old could do and grabbed him." "I remember. He got so scared he just booked it through the woods, but he didn't know them like we did," Danny stated, looking at me with a grin and nod before starting to climb down the creek bed. "What are you doing?" "I remember hearing him scream, and then it got quiet," Danny murmured as I heard his feet splash into the creek bed. "Sam chickened out and ran home, but not you?" "The boy who loved to laugh in the woods," I replied as I watched Danny get closer to the boy, who knelt down and picked up a rock in his hand. "That's what we called the game." "Yeah, it was my turn that day to be the boy who loved to laugh in the woods," Danny said as he kneeled in front of the boy, who held the rock high in the air. "Do you remember what happened after?" "He ran and fell in the creek bed." "What did we do, Jake?" "We saw him knocked out and ran away," I answered. "We thought we would get in trouble, so we left him here. But he didn't wake up. He died, and when they found him, they thought it was an accident. No one dared to bother to ask us if we were with him that day. Yay. Not even his parents knew he was hanging out with us that day after school," Danny continued. "They thought he just wandered away and fell." "Danny, get out of there." "I don't know if this will make a difference, but maybe it will end it." Stop it, Danny. Jake, one more thing. What? What was his name? Danny asked as the boy hit him with the rock. As I watched the blood begin to ooze from his skull, the boy continued to beat Danny violently with the rock. I stood frozen before muttering the name. Kyle.